What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Footy with an Edge. Man United played Liverpool this Sunday at Anfield. If those words don't give you PTSD as a United fan, I don't know what does. No matter how bad things have gotten in the last 10 years, we have done all right against Big Six teams like Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal, and Chelsea. But somehow, we just cannot catch a break against Liverpool. I know, we beat them in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup in spectacular fashion under Ten Hag, and it is a memory that I will always cherish deeply. But we have to be real here. Since January 2020, we've played Liverpool 13 times in all competitions, and we've only beat them 3 times, with 2 of them coming in the FA Cup. The only Premier League win we have against Liverpool came back in August 2022 when we beat them 2-1 at home under Ten Hag. So it's clear that it's very, very difficult to beat them in the Premier League. But to beat them at home in the Premier League, we have to go all the way back to January 2016 when Rooney scored the only goal in the 78th minute to help Van Gaal beat Klopp in his first season at Liverpool. So I don't think most people appreciate how long it has been since we won at Anfield. Mourinho wasn't able to do it in 3 seasons, Ole wasn't able to do it in 3 seasons, and Ten Hag wasn't able to do it in 3 seasons. In fact, all 3 managers got sacked after big losses to Liverpool, not necessarily at Anfield, but by losing in this fixture. So that tells you how impossible it is to win this game, and also how much impact this one game could have on a Man United head coach. So I've done some digging, and I'm here to tell you that Amorim has a very real chance to put the haters to bed and start this rebuild off of this result, while also putting Arne Slot and Liverpool in the mud with a 4th loss in a row. And to everyone's surprise, I actually don't think Amorim needs to change much to go win this game. Did you know that only 17% of people watching this video are subscribed to the channel? So if you're enjoying the content, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to show your support. Now let's get on to the rest of the video. Right, so Slot is most likely to have the same starting lineup that he did for the 2-1 loss against Chelsea. The only 2 changes that I can see coming is Robertson playing for Kirkes, and maybe he moves Szoboszlai to right back and puts Curtis Jones in midfield, and maybe he switches around the midfield here. But basically, that could be the starting lineup that he goes with. Either way, this means that Wirtz, the £116 million man, will spend his 2nd consecutive Premier League game on the bench, and Ekitike, the £80 million man, will also spend his 2nd consecutive Premier League game on the bench. I personally think Gakpo offers more off-the-ball work than Ekitike, and Wirtz offers just about nothing right now, so both of these calls kind of make sense from Slot's perspective. And the 6'6" Georgian giant Mamardashvili starts in net because Alisson is injured till mid-November. From a United perspective, I think he goes with the same team that beat Sunderland 2-0 at home, because we got a lot of things right both on and off the ball in that game. So despite most of us wanting to see Dalot and Shaw getting benched, I feel like they're both going to start because of the squad depth that we have in those positions. And we all know that Bruno's going to play next to Casemiro in that 2-man midfield, so let's stop dreaming about Ugarte and Casemiro or some other combination that maybe involves Mainu as well. Now, before we go into what Amorim needs to do to win this game, let's take a look at Liverpool's deficiencies in the loss against Chelsea, because that specific game will tell us a lot about how Amorim can beat Liverpool by sticking to his own system. If you guys are interested in checking out how Palace beat Liverpool with Glasner's tactics, I'll put the link in the description below for you guys to go check out. So there are 3 big weaknesses that I found in Liverpool's loss to Chelsea, and I want to explore all of them in detail, but we're going to start with their issues and building out from the back. Specifically, they seem to be really uncomfortable against the high press, and if there's one thing that this United team has been doing well this season, it's starting games off on fire with a high intensity, high press. So this right here is the very first minute of the game where Twerkes is trying to play this back to the keeper, and notice how there are big gaps between the back 4 here with Konate, Twerkes and Kirkes on the right hand side here, and Bradley off on the left hand side, very far away from these guys. As the ball goes backwards into the keeper, João Pedro initiates the press on Mamardashvili, and he looks really uncomfortable right here with the ball, but he somehow manages to just about play it out to Bradley on the right hand side here. As Bradley receives it right here, he's able able to take a nice turn away from Garnacho, and he has to run quite far forward with intensity to get Liverpool out of trouble. Again, look at the spaces in the defense and look at how there's no midfielder here out to help Bradley. As we skip forward a bit, you see Reece James coming out to press Bradley here, and Cucurella's up ahead, and Bradley's basically trying to play this out into Salah. And as Salah receives it, he gets pressed out by Badiashile and also Cucurella, so he loses the ball. Right? So we didn't see any big mistakes from Liverpool here, but we did see them becoming really uncomfortable under pressure. There's initial signs of Mamardashvili treating the ball like a hot potato and being super uncomfortable against the press. So it's something that Šeško needs to be shown in training this week, and hopefully he can execute in that game. We fast forward 30 seconds to the second minute of that Chelsea game, and Konate is on the ball here again in a build-up situation, where Chelsea are again ready to initiate the press with their front three, including the number 10. Now, as Garnacho gets closer to Konate, he fires it into Gravenberch, who's trying to play a first-time pass into Bradley on the right, and he does that right here. And as soon as Bradley's about to receive it, Cucurella triggers his press onto Bradley, and look at what the rest of the Liverpool team does in order to help Bradley out. So Bradley receives it, Cucurella presses him, and there is no help from any of the Liverpool players to come short to him. Ideally, there should be either Salah or Szoboszlai coming deep here, but they don't, so Bradley's forced to keep going on the inside and then finally lay it off to Konate in the back here. We're seeing the spacing issues that we just talked about with the first clip here again, because Szoboszlai is finally entering the screen and he should have ideally come deeper a lot earlier to provide a passing angle for Bradley. So that creates this massive box of space that you're seeing on your screen here. So anyways, Konate receives this ball and he looks up on the right channel, and Salah's finally coming backwards. So he comes into this space to pick up the ball, and it should be a straightforward pass into Bradley here or into Isak up ahead. But Salah also misplaces it, and Chelsea seem to get this ball, but they're unfortunately not able to capitalize on this situation. Look at how scattered the Liverpool formation is right now and how panicked they seem to be against a high press just in the second minute of that game. They don't seem like they're starting games with the same energy that they used to under Klopp, and too many players are taking too long on the ball or playing wayward passes under pressure. Now here we are in the 5th minute of the game, and Twerkes has the ball in the build-up. Again, we have Pedro and Garnacho and Enzo ready to press Liverpool. As we played along and the ball comes out to Konate over here, Garnacho starts his press against Konate again. So Konate decides the safest thing to do is to boot it out to the goalkeeper, and he's immediately looking to fire the ball up the pitch, right? My question is, if McAllister's over here by Reece James, where the hell is Gravenberch? If Gravenberch is right here in this area, then there's an easy straight pass out to that guy and Liverpool can still maintain possession. But instead, the goalkeeper has to kick it long, and Salah is forced to win an aerial duel against Badiashile here. And I don't know about you guys, but Maresca will take his chances with this situation all day long. So he knocks it loose, and the loose ball goes out to Gravenberch here. And Gravenberch, again, has an easy pass either out to McAllister or to Szoboszlai in front of him. The spacing from Chelsea isn't really that good here to go press them. But he takes a loose touch, and Enzo's about to pounce on it. And yet again, Chelsea have a promising situation where perhaps Pedro could be put in behind, but they can't really control the ball, so the chance is wasted. So we've just seen 3 separate examples of Liverpool shitting themselves against a high-intensity press in the first 5 minutes of the game. And Chelsea had at least 2 opportunities to potentially score from those errors, but they failed to do so. United have shown this same intensity in the first 15 minutes of almost every single game we've played this season, and we can very easily do this against Liverpool as well. I feel like we have a great chance to go 1-0 up early and quieten the Anfield crowd in this game and put some pressure on the team. Right, so we just saw Liverpool's build-up issues across those 3 clips, and in my opinion, it's happening because of a combination of 2 issues. The players are not showing enough composure on the ball, and Slot's coaching is not up to the mark yet with these players because there are just too many spaces between each line of the team, and in some cases, too many spaces within the lines of the team. So now that we've looked at the spaces when Liverpool has the ball, let's take a look at the spaces when they don't have the ball. In the 6th minute of that game against Chelsea, we have Cucurella passing the ball out to Garnacho, who's behind my head over here. And again, look at the gaps in Liverpool's defense. We have Connor Bradley miles away from Konate on the right-hand side, and Kirkaz is miles away from Twerkaz on the left-hand side. On top of that, Gravenberch has vacated his position over here to come press Cucurella, so Enzo has free room to run into this space with Szoboszlai kind of miles behind him already. So for those of you that are paying rent to live up Slot's ass, explain to me how this isn't a coaching issue, because he's clearly asked Gravenberch to press Cucurella here whenever he has the ball, which means Chelsea's starting 10 needs to be marked by Liverpool's starting 10, and that's a recipe for disaster. As the ball's played out to Garnacho, Konate does the right thing by starting to slide over to this side over here, and Twerkaz does the same thing by coming tighter to Pedro on this side. But take a look at the far side. Kirkaz is still miles away from Twerkaz, and you can go ahead and call this an individual error by Kirkaz, but he was one of the best left backs in Europe last year, and Slot was the best coach in England last year, so why can't he coach a great left back to close gaps defensively? Anyways, as Garnacho drifts on the inside to get away from Bradley, look at how much bigger that gap has just gotten between Kirkaz and Twerkaz over here. So Garnacho keeps coming on the inside, and then he essentially lays this off to Badiashile, and we still have this massive gap between the left back and the left center back. So naturally, as Badiashile receives this ball, he looks at Gusto in this space about to make this run, and he plays an easy ball over in behind. And, had this ball been a little bit better and maybe Gusto times his run a little bit better, more could have been made from this position. But you see this massive gap between these two players that's making it so easy for a midfield runner to run straight through your team. So it's clear to me how United can exploit this. We can have Mount and Mbeumo run in behind the center backs and fullbacks on both sides if they keep giving us this room. And this is by far the biggest advantage of playing with a 3-4-2-1 with two narrow 10s, because we can exploit the inside spaces between the traditional back four. And if Liverpool decide to close this gap and play more compactly against us, we still have the wingbacks who can exploit the space in behind the fullbacks. So I personally feel like this game is going to be a great chance for Ruben Amorim to get a big statement win and really establish himself in the league and, push the haters away. Just like he got that big statement win against City in the Champions League before leaving Sporting to come to United. Now, Liverpool are undoubtedly a high-pressing team that likes to force mistakes in the build-up, and they will try to do the same thing against us, and we have to be ready for this. Here we have Robert Sanchez on the ball, and Liverpool are pressing much like Chelsea was with the striker, the winger, and the 10. As Isak presses Sanchez, he digs it out to Cucurella at the left-back position to bypass all three threats at once, and Chelsea can try to kind of build forward from here. For Amorim and United to execute this well, we need Lomans to be comfortable with his feet, and we need Dalot and Ahmad to be on the touchline ready to receive the ball. And I think we should be able to do both those things fairly well. Am I worried about Dalot's first touch and pass? Absolutely. But can he surprise us and have his first decent game in a while? Also, yes. So let's just hope for the best with this one. Now, as Cucurella keeps this in, he also gets pressed by Gravenberch right here and decides to fire one into Pedro in the middle. As this ball comes into Pedro, pay attention to the wrestling match that Konate tries with Pedro over here. And somehow he still loses out, and Pedro has this ball, and now Garnacho is past Bradley over here with an easy run in behind as long as Pedro can find him. But unfortunately, the ball in behind is kind of wasteful and overhit, so Garnacho can't get at the end of it. But look at the mess that Liverpool have gotten themselves into. It took one pass to get behind the first line of press in Isak, Salah, and Gravenberch, then one pass to get beyond Gravenberch, and one more pass here to get Garnacho through on goal. Liverpool would just be better off if they didn't press high at all, because they just don't have the intensity right now to hurry the opposition into mistakes. Now, if United are in the same position here on the left-hand side, we can have Mount and Bruno together to play Šeško and Dalot in behind, mostly because Mount doesn't have that pace in behind like Garnacho does. And if we're in the same position on the right-hand side, we can have Mbeumo or Ahmad making the run in behind while they play off of Šeško's hold-up play. In this next clip, we have Achiampong receiving the ball from Badiashile, and you can see Liverpool pressing again with their front three and their midfield. As soon as Reece James drops into this spot, I want you to pay attention to how the Liverpool players are moving on screen. So Reece James is dropping deep, and look how everybody has rushed forward to come and empty their midfield to come and press Caicedo over here because they don't want Caicedo to get the ball. But as a consequence, you now have the entire front line of Isak, Salah, and Gakpo and the entire midfield of Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Gravenberch in this space right here. And so Liverpool's midfield is completely empty in this area, and there's a huge gap again between the midfield line and the defensive line. Now, Reece James is forced backward, and they recycle it to Cucurella on the left to progress it forward. But if United is here and they've emptied the midfield like this to press Casemiro or Bruno, we can very easily have one of our wingbacks on this side or on that side to get the first time pass from midfield, or we could have one of the 10s drop into the inside spaces here between the defensive and the midfield line, and then we can turn and run at Liverpool's defense. I can't stress this point enough, guys. The 3-4-3 that Amorim plays is almost perfectly designed to trouble high possession, high pressing teams like Liverpool, and the players are just starting to get used to executing his plans to perfection. If you want to ask why we couldn't replicate this against City, is because they were not a high possession, high pressing team against us. They literally sat back and gave us the ball. Now for the final clip of the video, we're going to see the build up to the Caicedo goal. Here, Liverpool are starting more from a mid block, and Chelsea are, in their half with Badiashile on the ball. As soon as Enzo starts to drop deep to provide a passing option to him, look at how quickly Liverpool move up their entire midfield to basically empty it again. We have Szoboszlai marking the center back here. We have Isak marking potentially the other center back. We have Gravenberch on Enzo here, and we essentially have McAllister on Gusto. So Badiashile waits and waits for the press to be initiated, and he actually does the smart thing instead of passing it backwards to pass it forward into Gusto in this area. And all it takes is for Gusto to play a first time pass into Caicedo. And as he's about to take this touch, guys, look at how easy that was for Chelsea to play beyond Liverpool's midfield. Chelsea have played through the middle, the heart of Liverpool's midfield with just 2 passes. And now both Gusto and Caicedo have this massive box of space to operate in by themselves in front of Konate and Twerkes. But yeah, Arne Slot is a world-class coach and Amorim is just thinking garbage. Now, as Caicedo dribbles forward and Twerkes keeps on twerking backwards, I'm sorry, he keeps twerking his way backwards instead of engaging Caicedo, and Caicedo basically lasers one into the top of the net right here, and Chelsea are 1-0 up. So I'm telling you guys, United have the opportunity of a lifetime to do a madness at Anfield this weekend. Liverpool are having trouble playing against a high-pressing team like Chelsea, who had 53% possession in that game. They're having trouble playing against low or mid blocks like Galatasaray and Crystal Palace, who had about 30% possession against them in those games. Playing against Amorim's 3 at the back system proposes a brand new challenge for Liverpool, and based on the massive offensive and defensive gaps in their team structure, I think United could have a field day in this game, as long as we don't do stupid things like loose touches and misplaced passes. If there was ever a game to be switched on and have a good one, this is the one, boys. You're not just doing this for Amorim, you're doing this for yourselves, because a lot of people have been calling you guys shit for a long time. And beating Liverpool at Anfield is the biggest shortcut you can take to being a good player. So let's flipping do this. What do you guys think? Get in the comments with your thoughts. Obviously, there's every chance that we go and get rolled and smoked at in this game, but I am fairly confident, guys. So let's just go and do it. Let's go and fucking do it. Get in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.